Hi guys, that light's a little too bright on that side. Sorry. Let me turn it down. That's better. Okay. Today's verse, today's verse or let me say it this way. Today's um, devotion is called Esther's Courage. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such this time. That's Esther 4:14b. King Asherah loved his wife, Esther, and owed his life to her cousin, Mordecai, who has warned that Esther and Mordecai were Jews. Haman, the king, led the officials and knew that Mordecai was a Jew when Mordecai refused to bow down and pay his homage to him. Haman decided to rid the kingdom of just Mordecai, but all the Mordecai's people. Haman persuaded the Assyrians to issue a decree to completely rid of the Persian kingdom of the Jews. Mordecai told Esther about the decree and told her to go to the king and plead with him on behalf of her people. Verse 8, Esther told Mordecai that approaching the king violated the law and had the penalty of death. Okay, would you go to somebody knowing that, or standing up for somebody that might cost you your life? There's folks out there that has done that, and they're called heroes because they went above and beyond. Okay, let's look at it like this. Our fire department, what do they do on a daily basis? Or EMTs, look what they do on a daily basis. Look at our police force and our sheriffs. They put their lives on the line every day. And then, not to mention all the military. They go to a foreign country, and I'll put it say, look at the heroes that you see on TV. They come home. This one stands out the most to me. He standing on a bomb, or they ran over a bomb on the roadside, and he's now paraplegic and he can't even talk. So they are the heroes. But the question is, can you go in on behalf of somebody else, or will you be willing to go on behalf of somebody in your life? Would you be able to do that? If it was something life or death, or if God leads me in that direction, then I will do it. But it's one of those things that it's one of those things that we just have to think about. Let's go back. Esther told Mordecai, approaching the king will violate the law and the penalty would be death. And Mordecai responded that now Esther's appointment time is with destiny. Esther agreed and said, if I perish, I perish, in verse 16. Standing there in the inner court, he told her that he would give her whatever she wanted. She asked for a banquet with him and Haman. At the banquet, she asked for an identical banquet for the following night. The night after the first banquet, the king remembered how Mordecai had saved his life and told that Mordecai had not been honored for his deed. The king summons Mordecai and Haman and bestowed the honors on Mordecai at the banquet. Here you go. Just when you think it's going to go sideways, and you see what you tried to do, you think it's going to go sideways. In all reality of it, it's not going to go sideways. It's important that you realize that we are working for God, and God won't let us get hurt, especially when we're doing something for others. The next evening, Esther revealed that she was a Jew and that her people was in peril because of Haman. The king had Haman hanged on the same gallows that Haman had prepared for Mordecai, and rescinded the order to have the Jews killed. To me, it sounds like history repeating itself. Think about it. Who's the one that killed the Jews in history? Hitler. And I put Hannah as the guy who would kill the Jews just because they were Jews. So, and Mordecai or Esther went to the king and said what Haman was going to do, and Haman rescinded the order to kill the Jews, and what saved them. But we don't want to worry about if something is going to go sideways. Again, like I said earlier, if we're going to do something for somebody and we're going to stick our neck out for them, just remember God's there with you. I do it all. I did it quite a few times. I stuck my neck out there to cover somebody else's mistake, so they wouldn't get in trouble or they wouldn't have issues with the boss man or whoever it meant to be at that time. So Esther realized that God made her queen so she could save her people. God always has a plan. There we go. What keeps coming up? You guys see this. really not. I'm just reading out of a book. I'm reading out of a book down there. We always have to have a plan. God's plan, not your plan. God's plan. Oh, she always had a God's plan. But we usually don't know what it is until after the fact. And how many times did I say that too? It's after the fact when we realize what God's plan was. And trust God, and it takes a lot of courage. A lot of courage, but it's worth it. So again, now you got to look at it both ways, okay? If this happens, we both might get in trouble. But if we just let him go and not do something about it, then we're just the same as each other, because he's going to get in trouble for a mortal man, and he's going to get in trouble for God. So we got to even the things out to make sure we're doing the right thing for the right reasons, and that we don't fall, we don't let our neighbor or friend or colleague fall, and especially if it was our fault, okay? And that has happened many times. So if you think you can get by with it, no, you won't. You won't get by with it, because God, if it's wrong, God's got you either way. If you help him and you get it, God is more forgiving. But if you let this guy get hanged by the neck because of something he did, so you really ought to go try and help this guy out so he don't get in trouble or don't get hanged. We don't hang people anymore, but I'm using it as I can't even think of it right now, but anyways, we just can't. I'm not using it literally, okay, that's a better word. I wouldn't be talking about a hanging earlier, but there's people out there that will proverbially hang you because you don't do it their way, or they just don't like you for some reason. Okay, and you can be the best person in the world, and there's still people out there that's going to try and cut your throat, because that's the way they are, and that's the ones we got to try and bring to Christ. The simple reason is that's what we're supposed to do. So the passage, verse, and context. Boy, all these words I have to pronounce. I'm pretty good at pronouncing, but. And Hatshepsut went and told Esther and what Mordecai had said, and then Esther talked to Hatshepsut, the command to let him go, Mordecai, and said, all of the king's servants and people of the king's providence know that any man or woman goes to the king inside the inner court will be called there because of one law. Be put to death, exception for whom the king holds out in a golden scepter, so that he may live. But as for me, I have not been called to come to the king these 30 days. I guess you got to be called into, when you get called into the king's court, that if he doesn't hold a golden scepter out there, then yes, someone has to be. And I don't want God hold a golden scepter and say, you know what, you didn't do this right, I'm going to have to hang you for it, or I'm going to have to take your life. And you may not see heaven, but you may see hell. So it's, again, one of those things that we need to follow. And follow to the T of the book we all know is the Bible. And let God lead us, and let Jesus help us to do, and let our Holy Spirit within us keep us on the right path. And they told Mordecai what Esther had said. Mordecai told them to reply to Esther, do not think of yourself that in the king's palace you will escape any more than the other Jews. If you keep silence at this time, the relief of deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have come to the King of all Jews to be found in Susa, and hold fast on my behalf, and do not eat or drink for 3 days, a night and a day. For my young woman will also fast, as you will drink, as you do. And then I will go to the king, then against the law, and if I perish, Mordecai, then I went away, did everything that Esther had ordered him. Okay. Questions of reflection. Esther was bold, but she was savvy too. Once she made the decision to approach the king, she devised a plan for how to do it. People would describe you as you bold, savvy, or neither. I would say people would be bold and savvy because I don't lie to you. I won't steal from you. I won't be the person that would start something just for the fact of starting it. It's one of those things that I look at myself as a pretty good person now. I'm not doing what I used to do, not because I can, it's just God's leading me the way that I need to go. So let's go to the next word. Now when these questions for reflection comes up, you need to really stop and think about what you're doing or how you're doing it. Because I want you all to go and be with God in heaven, and I'm trying to do my best to take you there. And I know all of you has the Spirit within you. How do you approach taking a bold action change as you change? Wait a minute. How have you approached to taking bold action and change as you have aged? Are more people less bold or more savvy? I would say less bold and less savvy. Because if you think about it, those words, there may be people bold, but they're self-centered. If there's people out there, they're savvy, they're self-centered. They think they got the world by the tail. and that's no purpose. That's not the purpose of it. So again, I'm very aware of what's going on and making sure things are right like they're supposed to be. And if it goes the wrong way, I know I got on my side. Mordecai recognized Esther's becoming a queen was a part of God's plan. What is God's plans for the next few years of your life? Do you know? And how we can find out? Well, it said in this text that we won't know until it happens. Do we know what's going to happen next? No. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. For the simple reason that we won't know until it happens. We have a destiny. God knows what we do every day. He's right down there looking at those 100 million people, hundreds and billions of people on this earth, and saying, well, he's doing a good job, but he isn't. So we need to actually take the time to really examine ourselves. So I will read the prayer. Good Lord, encourage outcomes in taking the next step in your plan. Give me the courage to do what you have created for me to do. Amen. There again, I like that because it tells you, give me the courage to do what you have created for me to do. Did you notice what God has created for you? Are you following up on that? If you're not, all right, be careful, because this can go the same way backwards. It just can be an opposite. And I pray for you all that none of you do that. It's important that you get the idea of what God's plan is for you. Again, it's not going to be obvious, but He'll whisper it in your ear. He'll talk to you, just like He talks to me. And you can call me crazy. I'm all right. I'm with that. But I do know He talks to me on a daily basis. He talks to me about my health. He talks to me what I'm supposed to do and what is the right thing to do. So, again, guys, I love you. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed weekend. And have a blessed week. I will see you tonight between 8 and 9. This time I'm trying to not get behind. It's one of those things, either my sister calls or my best friend calls, my mentor, and we talk about situations, because him and I are in the same situation. We have the same problems medically, and he's a world of medical advice, because he's gone through it further than I did. So I will try and make that. I still would try to make that at 8 o'clock. But it might be pushed over to 8:30. So it's important that I talk to people. And my sister had to put her daughter in jail last night. So she's having problems. I need you to pray for her and pray for Lorenzo and pray for the family. It was really hard because her daughter started trying to kick her door in, and she successfully did it. And she had a handle, or I'm not sure exactly where it comes from, and she beat her. She beat her mother, and she tore up the house. My sister showed me the house, and it was just wow. It looked like a tornado went through the house. So she had to put her in jail. No, she is a little, I should say a lot. She has a lot of mental problems, but she won't decide. She's 31 years old, and she won't decide to go and get help. And anytime you give her help, she refuses. So it's a situation where it's very critical that my sister is pretty much a basket case, because she had to put her youngest daughter in a place that she never wanted her to go. But so I would appreciate you pray for her. And I talked to her from 9:30 to 3 o'clock this morning, trying to get her settled down. And she settled down quite good. But I just wanted her to know that I was there. She called my brother, and she called my niece, my sister, my other sister, and it seemed like they didn't care. So, and her other daughter just basically said, "See, I told you so." I don't know why people do that. That's belittling somebody. See, I told you so. Don't belittle people. Don't be the ones that hurt somebody's feelings because you think you're better than they are. All right, guys. I'll see you tonight. Love you. Talk to you later.